The four Beardsmen of the Bookpocalypse.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hi, everyone.
Greetings.
Greetings, fellow people.
Thanks for tuning in. We're here with Greg Kontaxis. I'm very excited to be with Greg Kontaxis. How are you doing, Greg?
I'm good. I'm perfect. Thank you for having me. How are you guys?
We're
Good.
Excellent.
Yeah.
A little laggy.
I'll tell you when I've woken up. Good so far.
I think a little laggy is summing up my feelings very well. I always get thrown off when it's a bank holiday week. Like we had Monday off. It doesn't feel like it should be Friday now.
Yeah, short weeks are very confusing. Yeah.
What did you have Monday off for?
Don't even know.
No, just the magical UK. You get Monday off.
We had Monday off, but I thought it was a very America thing. Memorial Day.
Oh.
No, it's the same. Yeah, it was the same in UK.
Yeah, I think they just call it bank holiday, don't they?
Yeah.
I think everything is a bank holiday in UK.
Yeah, I think you get a lot more of those public holidays in the US than because you don't get as much holiday as the rest of us.
Maybe.
I'm not sure. I think we have more in Europe in general, like from the companies. If you work to a company, but the public ones, I think more or less are the same. It's like 8, I think 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's a couple of particular Australian ones, but other than that,
Yeah, like Kangaroo Day,
Kangaroo Day, Emu
Crocodile
Day,
Dundee Day.
Spider Day. Yeah.
Drop Bear Day.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
I think I'd need a day if I encountered some of them spiders. I just need a day.
You see a Spider Day. Take tomorrow off. No one would ever get any work done. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I was living in Vienna, they had like 16 public holidays. So
Nice.
Wow.
yeah, too many.
Yeah, no, we have to. But and I think when we had the Queen, now King's birthday, but it's not the same day as you have it for some reason.
Really?
Yeah.
It's just confusing now.
Yeah.
What?
There we
That
go.
day's
It's all good.
convenient.
Not that I like my job. I like my job, so I don't like holidays anymore.
That's the
Which
trick.
annoys my wife because she does.
Yeah. All good.
I feel like we should probably talk to Greg about books, given
Books and
he's
stuff,
just
yeah.
released one. The third of your trilogy.
At least one.
Yeah.
At least one. He's on 4, last I counted. How the hell have you done that?
Because you got the novella as well.
Of a pin.
Yes, it's 4
It's a
now.
pentology, though, right?
Yeah, it will be 5 main series, and there is a novella, and I'm thinking about writing another prequel. So maybe I will have one more prequel in the series.
So your last prequel was on one of the the.
Tell us
side
about the
characters.
series.
Yeah.
So it's a series that, as I say, combines a lot of Greek mythology and in a medieval world inspired. So the medieval world is inspired from medieval France and England, and also I would say for the other continent of my world, from the Middle East and maybe Egypt a bit as well. The book is about a war that it's happening in the kingdom for years, and it starts in the end of it, just before, let's say, the bad guys win. And I don't want to give many spoilers, so some things happen. So at the last moment, a boy appears and helps the queen, and then the whole journey starts. But the main idea behind the story was, so when I started writing it, I want to write something for so there is so much fantasy around so many series that always, there are many humans different like kingdoms and stuff, and they have a war, and at some point they need to get united to fight an evil force like orcs or White Walkers or whatever. So my main idea was to have other races like giants, mermaids, centaurs, Elwyn elves, and humans is like the threat for them. So they are the problem.
Yeah.
But in we see many times that we are the problem with the world, so that humans affect the other races negatively. So that's one main thing about the story. And yeah, the third book was released like a week ago. It's this one for people that never seen it.
Yeah, very good.
So and yeah, the series
Good cover.
becomes darker and darker. Actually, I didn't plan that when I started writing it, but it's where the story takes me. So
Sounds like you're having more fun as it gets darker.
yeah.
I can identify with that.
Yeah, there's a bit of a theme in some of the authors around this circle.
I mean, it's got pretty dark in places. There was like the seed there. I guess you just kind of took that and rolled with it in the end.
Yeah, so the end is very dark, I would say, but I don't want to say more because I will have to give many
no spoilers.
Yeah, so yeah, the thing is that the first book, it's more classic, I would say. It's more like classic epic fantasy. It's also a little bit more plot driven instead of character driven, but then the second and the third are darker and more character driven, I would say.
Excellent.
So is each book following the same characters?
Yeah. So you cannot like start from the second or the third book. You need to go book by book. So yeah, I mean, the moment that the first one or the second ends, then the next one starts. So, yeah. And yeah, I have a very big cast of characters. So for people who like book with many characters, yeah, that's the one. I have way too many.
Four.
That's a.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead, Charlie.
No. Your question would be much better. You go.
I was just going to say. I was just going to say, while I was doing professional research on you, Greg, which is a thing I do for all our guests.
Yes. Oh, we should have warned
not
Greg
to be confused with stalking.
David's our researcher. Some people say it's stalking. We call it research.
Okay.
Very minimal today. I've been busy, but your website's impressive, and on your website you have. I love it. You have it's essentially like a compendium. You have lists of characters, you have a glossary, you have maps, but to your credit, regarding all the characters, at least you have a resource online where people can look and see what the characters are. And it looks like you have it in English and in Greek. Is that right?
Yeah. I have this glossary in every book too in the beginning. So
nice.
Because I think it helps. But yeah, I write in Greek. I don't write in English. So, and then I translate.
Okay.
I was going to ask. That was going to be another question I was going to ask. I know that your first book you wrote in Greek. No plans to write it in English.
Yeah.
But then you thought about, I guess you considered it, and then somehow you were in touch with Mark Lawrence, and eventually Taya. I don't remember. Taya Greylock helped with the translation. Is that right?
No, with editing. She did the editing in the first book.
Editing. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was going to say, you got that awesome quote from Mark Lawrence for Return of the Knights. I thought that's got to be a boon for any author.
Yeah.
He's everywhere.
Yeah, he's. But it was very like random. I mean, the thing is that I wrote the book in Greek, so the market for fantasy in Greece is very, very small. So most of the people read romance. And now there is like a new wave for crime, but it's not that big, I would say. But there is some hype. Of course, there are some fantasy books. I mean, maybe it's the huge ones, like from Sanderson, from Abercrombie, from Mark Lawrence, Martins, that they get translated and you have access in Greece. But it's not that many, and the audience is not that big. So when I finished the book, I was like, I will just keep it for me. That was the idea. And then some people in Greece read it, so they want to publish it. So in Greece, I have a traditional publisher. And then I was thinking translate it because fantasy is way bigger for the English audience. And that's how, when I translated, when I had the first draft, I sent it to Mark as a fan, and I asked like if he's okay to send him some chapters and stuff, and he gave me many insights about the publishing and everything. I didn't expect that he will reply at all, to be honest. And he got back to me, and I changed it. So the second and the third book are exactly the same in Greek and English. I would say the first is a bit different in English compared to the Greek one, because Mark gave me a lot of advice. Some stuff that we do, as the Greek authors do, don't fly that well in the English market. So I had to change these things.
Okay.
It sounds like you kind of had to rewrite to some extent because it was omniscient point of view.
Yeah.
That seems like that seems like a massive thing to do, to rewrite, I guess, in third person.
So it was in the third person, but the thing is that I had a lot of head hopping. So I would be in a chapter, I would give the story like a god narrator, and then I would jump into heads. And then I changed all of this, and I made it like one chapter per character, or maybe with 2 scenes per chapter. But it took a lot of time. And then I had another like 2 rounds of editing. For the second and the third book, and the novella was easier because that was the natural style from the beginning. But in Greece, everybody writes in an omniscient style, so it's very common.
Well, it's common. It has been common here before too. I'm reading Lonesome Dove yet again. And it's head hopping. It's totally, the narrator just kind of picks the person and tells you what's going on with them, at random kind of.
Yeah, I see. Hey, Mark was like, maybe some years ago that would be good, but now for a first book, I don't think it will fly well. So that's why it was like, definitely he's right. He knows better. So I followed the advice. But actually, I like it better now that I write in the third pov. It's more natural. It's just that when I started, of course, I had read other books from English authors, and I knew that it's like this. That everybody uses first or third pov. But I read also so many books in Greek, and it felt natural. So that's why I started writing on that style. And also, when I started writing the first book, I had no idea that I will even publish the book, not even thinking about translating and stuff.
Yeah. So is there any plans to translate
kind of book?
The revised? I was going to say, is there any plans to issue the changed English version back into Greek?
I don't think so, because it goes okay in Greek.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there is a reason to do it.
It's interesting because who was saying that it was similar. I think in France, I've gone blank now. We did talk about it before.
We spoke with Alex Valdiers about it.
Yes, that's it. Yeah,
he literally moved from France to England to learn English so he could write fantasy books, sci-fi Western books.
He made the choice to learn English so he could write in English, which is a humongous undertaking.
I think that's very, very hard. I could do that, but it's more natural for me to write in Greek. So, but if you don't, the problem is that if you don't speak English, you cannot check at all the translation, which is a problem.
Yeah, you're relying on it being correct. Yeah,
because maybe there are some mistakes, or maybe the translator doesn't understand something really well, and then if you check it, it's better. But if one day I translate in another language, I have no knowledge. I will not be able to help. So it's on them.
Yeah, you have to.
Do you read English?
Yeah, it's a huge help. Not only about my writing, but the thing is that if I read only in Greek, it's extremely expensive because the books are 3 times more expensive. So it helps a lot. I was saying that in another interview. The thing is that, for example, The Way of Kings, which I love it. In Greece, you have to buy it. So it's in 4 parts, and each part it's 20 euros. Oh. So you have to pay 80 euros just for a book 1 from the Stormlight Archive.
Oh, wow.
So and then I realized that when I was in high school, I realized that, okay, now my English is good. And I started buying ebooks, and it was so much better because ebooks is not it's not something common, so it's just paperbacks mostly.
And
So
I thought
what was
books
the
were
biggest?
expensive in Australia. Oh, sorry, Divi.
Sorry?
What was the biggest sort of influence then from the books you were getting in English? What was your biggest?
I think it is many. So it starts from of course, first one that I read in fantasy was like Harry Potter when I was a kid, and then it continues a lot with Mark Lawrence, John Abercrombie. It's the Prince of Thorns, the Stormlight Archive, Wheel of Time a bit because I stopped after book 3. The thing is that I was in uni and I had to stop because it was a huge commitment. It was too many books. Definitely also Game of Thrones, Song of Ice and Fire. So it's many from the common ones.
So you were a fan of Mark Lawrence before you ever reached out to him?
Yeah. So because one of the first books in fantasy I read was Prince of Thorns. So
that's great.
It's one of the darkest.
That's cool.
Yeah, because the rest of his books are not that grimdark, I would say. So this trilogy is the only one.
That's a pretty dark trilogy, but
yeah.
And Tolkien, of course.
Of course.
Yeah, those are available in Greek too, so it was easy.
I dread to think how many books they split them into.
Yeah.
The Greek version.
You have to take out mortgage to buy it in Greece. So.
Now it's
Tom or DB. How many books?
Sorry.
Oh, Scott Baker. I was going to say, Tom or DB, do they split Way of Kings in the UK into 2 books? Oh gosh, I've frozen, haven't I?
No, you haven't. I'm just
teasing you.
I think it's 2 because I have them in English too. Yeah, it's 2. The Way of Kings.
It's
2 books.
Yeah.
I thought it was 2 books.
Right there. Yeah, 2 books.
Nice.
2 pretty chunky books as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to know more about like the story behind you writing this series, Greg, because you mentioned that there wasn't really a huge fantasy scene in Greece. I don't know if that was always the case when you were growing up there, but how did you actually set out to write fantasy yourself then?
So I liked fantasy a lot because everything that I was reading was fantasy. And then at some point, like, I don't know how many years ago now, because the first book took me years to finish it. So it's like, I think 6 years ago now or something, maybe even more. I was thinking to write something like a short story about a small scene about a boy who saves the queen, something like that. And then I started having many ideas around it. And after 3 months, I was like, okay, these will be many books. And I started writing the first. And this is how it started. I mean, at the beginning, I didn't have like a schedule to write fast or anything like now that I try to publish a book every year and stuff. So I just, I was writing like, maybe I would write 3 chapters 1 month, 7 the other month. And I wasn't sure when it will finish. Nobody will read that. So, okay, just something for fun. And at some point when it became, a finalized book, some people read it and this is how it started. But it was totally random. It's not like I had a plan to write. And it happened. I didn't even expect it that it will. Honestly. The initial idea I had that might sound funny is I read some books and sometimes I'm thinking like I would finish it in another way. And I was like, okay, let's write something myself so I can finish it, the way I want. So that was.
I think that's a lot. I think that's the reason a lot of people write.
Yeah.
To do something different or better.
Or write the story you want.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
True.
Mm-hmm.
Like partly wrote my book because I saw the On Stranger Tides film, Pirates of the Caribbean one. I thought, Blackbeard wouldn't have zombies. That's wrong. I can do Blackbeard better than that. And, yeah.
Nice.
And you have.
You can portray Blackbeard better than that in person.
That is true.
I got so upset by that film, I just became Blackbeard.
His spirit embodied you.
You realize on your book launch, Tom, you're going to have to wear a pirate hat. So, yeah.
I do have a
easily.
pirate hat.
Yeah, of course you do.
Yeah.
That's why he's growing his hair out like that.
I thought it was the Rasputin look.
That's what my mum says.
I can.
Lenin is her favorite one.
I've
It's
been
always Russian.
I've been called that before as well, Rasputin.
I mean, I take the beard compliment. I can't like speak volumes about Rasputin himself.
The character traits are not perhaps ones that you want to.
Yeah.
Interesting take on things, but yeah, it's all very good.
But just going back to another thing you said, Greg, about the sheer wealth of characters you had. Like, I know you probably weren't really planning for the series to start becoming more character driven, like you said, but the foundations were there in Return of the Knights, like the very first book. So I think you branched that into Night of the Moon, which followed Long Arm. It was like kind of one of it was like the comic relief side character of book one, but it kind of brought this whole new dimension to him. Was that always your plan, or do you find you discover more about your characters as you write them? Like, how would you go about doing these characters of yours?
Yeah, totally. I discovered more while writing. I had like a plan for 2 or 3 characters, and then more became, I would say, important. So about the Long Arm, I had no idea I will write a novel about him. But the thing is that when the first book came out, most of the people liked him. It was like the favorite character. And actually, it's my favorite character too to write. And then I was like, okay, let's give some backstory on him. And this is how I decided to write the novella, which is actually the darkest book in the whole series. So, yeah. Actually, it's inspired from, I don't want to give spoilers, but the ending is inspired from a Greek event that actually happened. So, yeah, but I don't want to say more because it will be very obvious. But
Yeah,
I wouldn't spoil it. The ending of Night of the Moon was pretty damn brutal.
yeah,
That's all I'm going to say. I remember reading your first book thinking, yeah, this is good. Like, it's setting up a lot of threads. Like, I see what he's doing with this. Oh, here's a novella about one of the favorite characters. Oh my goodness, Greg, what have you done?
yeah. So yeah, I was trying practically to explain why in the main series, when this character is older, he's so cynical, and he doesn't care about anybody at this point because of what happened to him. So that was the idea. If I write another prequel, I don't think it will be for him. I think it will be for completely new characters, like 300 years ago or something. I will see.
Yeah.
that'd be good.
I think I threw the question out to all the authors, and you as well, Charlie, like characters you enjoy. Like, what kind of surprises you the most when you're writing characters? Because Greg, your book kind of you started out with one direction, then it became darker and darker the more you wrote. What kind of like surprise character developments do you guys kind of see in your own writing and reading of books?
So
good question.
It's that's a very good question actually. So for example, in book 3, I start. So it's a very small spoiler, so I can say that I start with completely new characters and something I never thought. So when I was starting it, I was like, okay, how I start this book, and I had an idea about something a bit brutal, let's say. but new at the same point. And these characters that they start in this chapter, they become really important. So that was a surprise because I didn't even expect that. And actually, I don't plan a lot my books. It's I have some main events in my head, but I write most of the stuff while. So I decide most of the stuff while I'm writing. There are many surprises. Or sometimes I have a main event in my head, and while writing, I change it. So maybe 1 year ago, I thought, okay, in book 3, this will happen. And when I was writing book 3, it didn't happen. So yeah, I think it's full of surprises.
I think it's about why you bring him in. Kind of why, if you bring in a side character and you've not got they've got a specific purpose, but it's not very big, then you end up almost overinflating the character. And because the character's got more and more in it, he writes his own path, her own path. Yeah. I think the best characters in my stuff are characters that are based on, oh, that's a cool idea. Like a really quite a shallow sort of seed that just grew because it needed to grow, needed to be bigger and better.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get surprised. I guess I get surprised more by scenarios necessarily than characters, but because of the way I write, I like to jump to different points of view, especially during action scenes. Just I like to explore a scene or a thing from different points of view. Stumbling across different characters who are combatants is always very interesting to me. And like Daryl said, sometimes I'm just trying to fill one little spot in the book, but if you got to justify the character, so then suddenly I start seeing other scenes where that character could add to the scene.
Yeah.
And so on. But yeah, as far as being surprised, I have the main events, plotted. I used to think I was a big plotter until I talked to real plotters. But I know the big events and where everybody's going to be, and they are subject to change. If I start writing it and it just is not working, big events might have to change. But yeah, getting to them and then getting between them, that's where the surprises come up. I wrote a scene yesterday. I did not anticipate this scene. They're on a ship. They're rowing across the sea against the current that's being generated by magic. So they're fighting the current. It's on day 3. It was supposed to be a 12-hour trip. They're on day 3. Cannibalism is rampant. I didn't plan this stuff. And so like this, there's a mutiny happening. And then the character whose point of view I'm in, he's being threatened because he's seasick. So they think he's weak. So they think he's not going to add to their efforts. So he's perfect to be eaten. So now he's fighting for his life. I didn't anticipate any of this stuff. And that's when the muck magic like truly hits them, which saves his life.
That sounds like one of our RPG systems.
Surprises are the best.
Yeah, true.
Sounds right out of a Beardsmen RPG session, David. That's
yeah, it does. And I like scenes. I like reading scenes, or at least being surprised by scenes where you don't expect anything terrible to happen, and then suddenly you realize something terrible is about to happen, and then it happens, and then you're still kind of in denial, like this can't be happening. And so that's kind of what I was going for with this particular scene. It just flies off the rails.
excellent.
I think you just described my book 3.
Well,
It's so fun for some reason.
Just picture you there at your laptop, go like, let's add another day and see what happens to these guys.
Just keep cranking the time more and more. First, they were going to feed the Orcanes to the Orcanes, but they need the Orcanes are more crucial than people puking over the side, so they had to make a choice.
Yeah, that sounds good. Well, I look forward to that. And I've half an idea who that might be, but I might be wrong. But
probably not, man. I'm in weird character points of view. I'm trying to conclude everything. This was a problem, Gregory, and I'm sure you're aware of this. The more characters you have, the more you have to conclude, and it gets complicated.
Yeah.
It's a nightmare sometimes. I mean, I like it, but sometimes I'm thinking that when I was writing the first book, I wasn't ready for 8 POVs.
Yeah.
So I was thinking maybe I should start with like 2 or 3, and then when I continue, I can expand because you need experience to do that. But I did it.
Yeah.
So.
That's one way to get experience. Actually, do it.
Yeah.
It's all fun and games in book 1.
Yeah, and then I'm sometimes in book 3 or book 4 that I'm writing now, and there are these small details because the big stuff you remember, but the thing is maybe for one character out of the 60, you wrote, for example, that she's not religious, and then in book 4 you write she's religious, and you don't remember that. So I have like a Word file with 100 pages of notes.
Oh Lord!
I was going to ask, how do you keep track of it all? But that's.
I have a question on that.
Yeah, sure.
You have your glossary. You have your glossary and your character list on your website. Did you write all that? That wasn't like a publishing house or any kind of. That was you, right?
No, it's me. Everything is me.
How do you determine what to add, and how are you sure you're not putting spoilers in, especially with the items or the glossaries?
Yeah, asking for a friend.
There are some spoilers in a sense, but it's very, very tiny. So I'm trying to give a general description. So I'm not giving like specific details. It's more, it's not to remind you what the character did or something. It's just to remind you, okay, if somebody, after 10 characters is lost in book 3 when he or she started, it's like to go there and remember, okay, this is the queen of this place. It's not about what happened to her or she's dead. Yeah. There are some characters in my glossary that they are dead, and I'm saying that this person is killed, but it's like before the story starts. So maybe
I assumed that.
Yeah, it's the father of somebody, and he's important for a character, but he died before the story starts, so it's not that important to say it.
He didn't die in the story. Read the glossary. Damn it!
Exactly. So if somebody died in the story, it's not in the glossary.
Yeah.
I need a resource like that for my book. Right now, I just have a bookmark that I made. It's very tiny, and it's got a select amount of the characters on this side for Allscan, and then this side for Vilda. Just a handful of characters, nothing spoilery, just kind of to help out. And I made it for my wife. Now that I think about it, because she was like, I don't remember from one scene to the next who these people are. So I said, I got to give you a resource. I got to find a solution.
I think as a reader, it's good to have a resource, because a lot of books these days, particularly if you're reading an ebook, it's very hard to flick. It's not like a normal book we can sort of flick through a page and then go and check the glossary and then go back again. So Kindle has made it a little easier. They have the little digital bookmarks or something like that. Yeah, so it is getting easier. It didn't used to be, so that is helping definitely, because otherwise or sometimes you get to the end and they go, "Oh, there was a glossary."
Right.
If you're my book needs.
For audio,
sometimes find it difficult.
Yes, it would be a nightmare to go back to the glossary, but
oh gosh.
Yeah, no, that's good. No, I think that's helpful, and I think talk to you about some of that question, like characters I like. I think it's those flawed characters that you don't. You see someone come on the scene and they could be I use David Krauss as a great example. You see this guy, you think, oh, he's a drunkard, he's useless. He's not going to, and as the story progresses, there's and again, no spoilers, but he definitely goes in a direction that you wouldn't have first picked. And I think that's so fascinating.
Does he grow on you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
like a tumor, not unlike a tumor, I'm sure.
Yeah, like a cold. Yeah, but no, you first read it and think, oh, there's not many redeeming qualities here, and then as you sort of see that more of that inner character or that sort of underlying that maybe who they once were, for Long John there, Greg, that sort of comes out, and I think that's all that you see them at a certain point in their life. I look back at my books I really enjoyed last year. We've got Callis from Callis and Crow. He's got a history to him. It's that sort of how they got to where they are now, and that I think is interesting. There's that hint that I suppose that mystery and that that sort of intrigue of how they developed and where they come from, and whether that's a backstory, whether it goes forward. I think that they're the ones I really enjoy. That and that cliche a little bit, that morally grey character as well. You quite you think I shouldn't be going for them, but I'm actually quite.
I love that.
And the grey ones are the best. So
definitely. I think
they are.
I imagine that for an author, they're the most fun to write, but certainly as a reader, they're very enjoyable. So.
Yeah, I mean, actually, I don't find them that hard to write in the sense that you have a lot of freedom around them, so they can do more or less everything. So it's that's fun, because if you define something as a good one or a bad one, I mean, you can change that too, which I do sometimes, but it's harder when they are gray. It's like, for me, it's fun. I don't know. I enjoy that.
Yeah. That's why the Joker is more fun than Batman, because he has no rules.
I think that's the magic that Joe Abercrombie does so well, that you can kind of fall in love with two characters who are on opposing sides of some kind of conflict, and you don't know who you want to win because you adore each character.
I like that too.
Then you got that sinking feeling knowing that they're not all going to make it.
That's when your favorite. It's.
I'm not looking at you, Daryl.
I wonder if that was coming.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we won't give away any plot spoilers, but DB, that scene that Charlie's alluding to, did that take you by surprise, or was that something you had preloaded, so to speak?
No, it was loaded. It was always there.
Yeah.
It was again, treading very carefully.
Yeah,
that had to happen at some point so that other person could develop further.
Yeah.
But it was never plotted exactly when it was going to happen, but it was always
I think that's the key thing for me, though. Like when I'm doing my stories, is I'm like most of you guys. Like I don't plan too far ahead. Like I want the characters to explore and react the way they react, and that drives the story for me. But there are still things that have to happen. I have to hit this milestone, and like even though the characters go their own paths, like events in the world just happen regardless, and then drive things onward. But I never want to like railroad anything.
It's difficult to keep open, to keep your sort of brain open to new amazing ideas, but still having that track that you're on.
Especially on ladder.
The very original Carlson Crow had no sea. It was all on one landmass.
Oh, we wouldn't have had the Kraken.
It had none of the fun stuff, and it just came.
Cool.
Oh, glad you added that bit.
No, that's easier. Yeah,
like pivotal.
Definitely.
What is funny? Sorry. Okay.
Go ahead, Greg.
I would say,
you go ahead, Greg.
Say that sometimes it's funny that at least that happens to me, is that I have in my mind, for example, that this character is gonna die, and then I am in that scene and I change my mind. And I'm like, how I can save this guy now in this situation that he's in? It's impossible. And I'm trying to do that. So, but all of this is just the fun of writing. So it's, I guess it's why I do it, at least, because I love all this stuff that, you have to think again and again because you change your mind and all of this.
Solving problems.
I think that's what Nick Horvath relies on, the author of Sledge versus the Labyrinth. He'll put his character in a situation that he just cannot win. He cannot conceive of a way to win, and then he's like, all right, he's got to figure it out. And he pulls it off. In book one, the book that I've read, He pulls it off each time.
He does, yeah. But each time
sometimes it's crazy.
Yes. Yeah, there's some interesting developments in that book for sure. Where you think, yeah, this guy's
when the dude is tied to the chair.
Yeah,
that was a good one. That one's like, okay, there's
tied
no way.
The chair. Someone's about to assassinate him. It's like, you can't get out of this.
No, I haven't read his books, but now I might something like Tom Cruise. Impossible.
Oh, they're nuts.
Yeah, it's good fun.
Page turners.
Not for the squeamish, but it's good fun.
No. You'd like it. I think you'd like them.
You wouldn't lend it to your grandmother. Put it that way.
Well, unless you had a very cool grandmother, maybe.
If your grandmother was 6'7", yeah.
Yeah, if your grandmother was a 6'7" ex-basketball player, then yes, definitely give it to her.
But yeah, I think like on the reader side of things, I don't know about the four of you guys, but there are sometimes events that have to happen, like characters who need to die, and they need to die in a certain scene, and when the author kind of holds back and doesn't deliver, it's frustrating for the reader too.
Yeah.
The most recent example is I finished the latest Dungeon Crawler Carl book, and I love that series. It's so good, but it just seemed like every major character, no plot spoilers, everyone had plot armor. It's like, you know,
there's a balance, isn't it, between, you know, obviously you don't lose them all, but it's same to make it sort of not believable, but sort of add that touch of realism or a bit more to it. You know, everyone can't get out of everything every single time, or it's just it becomes a bit cartoonish almost, you know.
Yeah.
Or there's no peril, and then I think you're right. You might tend to lose people a little bit. They're not as invested.
It's like the whole Superman thing. Superman is always going to win.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter what they do.
He's not going to die.
He's not going to die. Yeah. There's no threat.
Even when he does, he comes back.
Yeah,
he's going to come back. That's true.
They killed him once, and he came back.
Tom, you made me think of The Walking Dead, because there are points. If I don't know if you guys have watched any of the seasons of The Walking Dead, but there are points where the early seasons, in my opinion, are the best, and nobody was safe.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's it. At any one time, you thought any of these guys could get rid of
I mean, he could die. But then at some point, they found their little favorites.
Yeah,
like Norman Reedus, Carol.
Yeah,
Negan became a favorite for whatever reason, you know, and then you knew nothing was going to happen to him. But on the flip side, you got to show the last
series. But...
Oh my gosh, The Walking Dead refuses to die. Like, anyway. But then you got the series like The Last of Us 2, who kills the main, and I haven't seen it. I'm aware of what happens. Sorry if this is spoilerish, but a main character dies.
Well, it is in the game, so I don't think it's completely. Yeah.
If you've played the second game, same thing happens. But they pull it off as far as the reasoning, I gather. But I also gather it is possibly to the detriment of the show, because he was kind of carrying, or he was a huge personality.
Yeah.
He or she. I'm not going to spoil her. But the show suffered. I like it. I like it if an author is brave enough to kill somebody and go, we're gonna pull it off without him. But I guess it's tricky, you know.
Yeah. I mean, Game of Thrones, everybody gets
dead.
And I remember
don't have any favorites there, because
I remember reading Arya Stark making her way back up north, and suddenly having this moment of, there's nobody left. There's nobody left in her entire world.
Yeah.
Just having this massive emotional gut punch.
Yeah.
And you can't get that much of an impact without breaking a few eggs, can you?
No.
It's true.
There's
a character. There's a character that has to die, and there's a character that's got to die in book 2 of V&V, and I've known it from the start. In fact, at the start, it was ambiguous. He might he or she might die.
Okay.
Well, he or she is going, I got to kill him or her. And I don't plan on skimping on it. I plan on it being just as terrible as possible. But I'm not there yet. And so time will tell.
Good.
I'm going to kill him or her. We'll call him her.
Yeah.
I'm going to kill them.
Kill them all. Kill them all. There's no book 3.
Oh, there won't be a book 3 for sure.
He said that now. There was a book 3.
I think the way you handle
I can't take it.
The way you handle your character deaths, Greg, in your series is kind of the right balance. You know, it's just that blend of I didn't see that coming, and I'm very, very upset, but that needed to happen. I mean, what's like your go-to for getting it just right?
I'm not sure actually, but so you haven't read book 3, right?
Not yet, though.
Okay, so maybe you change your mind about what you said. In book 1, what you say is true, and in book 2, I think it's fair more or less. But I think in the end, some stuff that happen are not expected. But book 3 is nuts. So I don't think you will expect that some of the things will happen. I'm trying to keep a balance in the sense that, you know, some people stay alive. But I don't know. After book 2, I was like, I don't really care. I mean, of course, you need to have some characters left. But I was more like it's where the story takes you.
Yeah.
It's, yeah. And even if a character is very likable, if it's their time to go, they will go. It doesn't matter for me.
Cold. That's it.
Yeah.
No one's safe. By the sounds of it.
Yeah.
That's good.
But you will tell me after book 3 if you still agree with what you just said.
There'll be so many angry DMs, I'm sure.
You can add a
Take
little.
it back.
You can have a little addendum video to this recording. I've read book 3. And
Yeah, because I mean, so I send many like advanced copies, and I have already like, I don't know, 7 or 8 like reviews, and I saw like 2 or 3, and they were like, okay, now you need to pay my psychologist bill.
That's success.
We'll take that as a good sign. That's good.
Oh yeah. Actually, the funny bit is that the first half of the book is not that dark, so you think it will be like more classic, but then it becomes a bit challenging. I will not say more, but yeah.
That's a good little hook. Get everyone interested.
Yeah, let's see how book 4 will go.
Yeah, I mean, keeping it spoiler free, where do you see like the rest of the series going? Like you said, you're on book 4 at the moment.
I think that it will be dark until the end, that it will be a little bit maybe more hopeful, but I'm not sure because I don't really know what happened. Yeah, I don't think I will end up with a crazy idea that, you know, everything is destroyed, everybody dies. But we will see. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I don't have many ideas about book 5. Actually, book 4 is almost done. So I need to write the books way in advance because translation takes months.
Oof.
So yeah, it takes like 4 or 5 months.
So you don't have an ending kind of in your head yet of the whole series?
I have an idea, but it's generic, I would say. It's not like finalized yet. We'll see.
That's interesting. Like, is it the same for DB and David? Like, in the Corsair like series, like, I know exactly what's going to happen at the end. But is it the same for you guys? Like, where do you see your series going?
Again, there's things I have written that will happen, but I don't know exactly how. But it's nailed on what will happen.
You've got a destination, but in mind, but not not the journey. Yeah.
You have the final destination in mind for it, DB?
Yeah,
nice time.
Yeah.
The end of the end.
I mean, the characters
I do
will
too. I
tell
know
me how we get there, but it's there is a destination.
Yeah.
Cool.
Now that you mention it, Tom, now that I'm dwelling on it, there is a war at the heart of the story I'm writing, and it concludes. And I know where everyone ends up after that, and it feels like a conclusion for the majority of the characters, a very distinct conclusion for a lot of the characters.
6 feet under.
Does it have to end there? Could there be an additional book? How to figure out what we're going to do with the Untamed? What are we going to do about this? What are we going to,
But sometimes I think that can be quite
hate
good.
to drag it out.
But if you take it as a different sort or another side of a sort, like, you in that world, and sometimes if as a reader you think, well, that's a really interesting, maybe a side continent or
right.
Thing that you think,
I could see that being a thing.
It takes its own life on, not separate to the other story,
Yeah.
but it's like telling you another part of it, or a
It would
wider
be
part
separate.
of the world.
It,
I think that
it'd be a character exploration.
Yeah, a bit more than that world, or it could be a particular race or something like that. That can be quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I think completely different. And I know we're talking to Douglas Lumsden in a couple of weeks or next months or whatever it is. But he's written a 7-book series, and his new series is set in the same world. And the first book, there's some characters are the same. But it's interesting because you've gone from first person to third person. So you see, there's a character that you've been in his head for 7 books, and then you're suddenly seeing him through a different
from someone else.
And so you sort of think well, know how he acts, but it's almost, and this new series, it's set in the same world, but it's exploring wider parts of it. And I think that as a reader is it's pretty this world that you love, and you think and you've got such an expansive world as well. And I think that's something that potentially can work in. Doesn't have to just be sort of flogging the horse just to get more out of it, out of something.
Yeah. My intention is to move along elsewhere. Once I've finished book 2, go to a different continent or something. But
it's also going to be interesting for you.
Demand.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for you as well. I think it goes back that one advice I kept hearing, and one day or maybe we'll get there, but is that write that book that you want. That if you find it interesting, you find you can see how much it's evident from Greg talking about how much he's enjoyed writing his books. That will come out as a reader. That will come out, and you'll get that genuineness, and that story will be picked up by readers. Like you can tell when there's that soul of the author in the story, or whether it's just another by numbers, blah blah blah,
formulaic. So Greg, do you see the series possibly going beyond 5 books?
No, I don't think so. I think it's possible when it's finished to write another trilogy, like, I don't know, 100 years ago, 1,000 years ago or something. But I don't want to go beyond book 5.
Yeah. So in that world, but a different time frame, or different.
The cast of characters is so big, and there are so many places that you can write forever if you want in the world. So there are many things to explore. But I think, I don't know, I feel that if I go beyond the book 5, it will become too much. I think it's a good time to conclude it there, to be honest.
I like 5. 5 is a good number.
Yeah.
Actually, when I was younger, I really enjoyed to, start series that they have 7 books, 8 books, and they're huge too, because that happens in fantasy often. But now, because time is limited, when it's shorter books and stuff, it works better.
Yeah.
It's a balance.
So weird.
Yeah.
Well, I just started on sort of a series of about 30-40% now into the Curse of the Mist Wraith by Yanni Wirtz. I thought this is fantastic, but oh my God, there's 10 more.
Yeah. It's daunting, really.
It will become my life's mission, because I'm enjoying this first one so much. I'm going, right, well, I'm making the commitment now, I think. So
yeah. Imagine we're like 13. So
yes.
Yeah.
I stopped in book 3. So when I was
even the author didn't continue with it.
Yeah.
Damn, nice.
Not through choice, I admit, but
It's like Song of Ice and Fire that maybe the book series will never finish. So
maybe. That's the $1 million question.
Yeah, but
Sanderson
I think what Martin tries to say is that more or less the ending will be what you saw. It will be just more, slow, I guess. So I don't know.
I heard someone recently. I heard somebody defend the final season of Game of Thrones, the show, saying that if it had been given the appropriate time, a lot of that would have made sense. A lot of it would have worked out. Danny wouldn't have so abruptly turned evil.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be so not just spoiler everything. If anybody has not watched the end of Game of Thrones, don't listen. But a lot of the things, transportation, conversation, the political bits, like the political stuff was just ripped right out because of how quickly they were trying to wrap everything up.
Yeah.
I don't know if I agree or not, because things like Bran becoming king, the way that Arya killed, I feel like I'm spoiling so much. Yeah. How she just one-shotted the central threat of the entire fucking series. She just boink stabbed him, and that's fucking that. Like, that seemed a little convenient.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Is like, if you're reading the book, they're going from the north to the south. That takes 2 books. And then they've suddenly gone. It's like a travel show that they've jumped on the ship, and then next scene they've arrived in the south. They're going, hang on. I think it just took all that meat and the stuff that people enjoyed out of it, and I don't think it was the end result that people had the issue with. It was how we got there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And apart from a certain battle that was so dark you couldn't see, technically didn't work. I think that's why people got angry with it. It's like, you've got these books that you've loved and enjoyed, and I read and I thought, and I'm pretty relaxed. But if the story finishes, it does. If it doesn't, there's 1,000 other books out there.
There are other books
and go from there.
Hey, and if it frustrates you too much,
sorry,
write your own. That's all I was going to say.
Yeah, well, that's
yeah.
Quit moaning and write your own. There's plenty of people who've done to great success. So,
yeah, true. About Game of Thrones, I'm sure even if it was slow, I couldn't agree with. It would be very hard to agree with Bran taking. That was
it never fit. Nothing about it made sense to me. But
actually,
not the first time that argument.
1 year before the ending, I remember I was in a chat with some friends, and somebody sent a screenshot that was from a betting company, and they had they had bets about who was gonna take the 7 kingdoms. For Bran was 1,000 out of 1. So if you would put 5, you would get 5,000.
Yeah.
Like buying a Bitcoin.
Crazy.
Bitcoin Bran.
Yeah, I mean, we don't have to worry about spoiling Game of Thrones final season. It was 6 years ago now.
Yeah, I haven't seen it now.
Fair.
Hey guys, I need to blow your mind. Do you know what happened? Do you want to know who Luke's father really is? Oh no, I won't spoil it.
Damn it, Charlie.
I've watched it a couple more times since then. I like it. I enjoy it.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Do you like House of Dragon too?
I do, but I'm too cheap to have HBO right now, so I'm not caught up.
Okay.
I thought it was really good. The only thing that really grated me was the sudden time jump where certain actors got replaced by older ones.
I didn't like that.
Right.
Yeah.
That was abrupt.
Yeah. Because I thought they were all doing a good job, and then suddenly they were swapped out. That was a bit jarring.
And you can't identify them because they've all got the same color hair. So
I like better the younger ones.
Yeah. And there's something in there about about feminism and all that, because it was the women that got changed. Let's face it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
like
probably for another conversation.
Yeah.
For another time. I liked season 1 and I liked what I saw. Maybe a couple of episodes of season 2, and that's as far as I got though.
No, it's good. It's
the dragon.
Good.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I was going to detail that I remember.
To say that, I like it a lot, and definitely it's better than other fantasy shows that there are now, like, you know, Rings of Power and Wheel of Time. Just personal view, but no.
Yeah, I remember comparing it to Rings of Power and liking it, being more excited about it than I was Rings of Power. Wheel of Time I never really got into. I haven't read the book, so it kind of bounced off me a little.
I read some of them.
It was such a long time ago, to be honest. Yeah, I read the books years ago as well, and there were discrepancies against the book, but I think as a show it got better and better and better. I was quite shocked.
Right, that's what I heard. And then they chopped.
Actually, about Wheel of Time season 3, I enjoyed. For the season 1, I didn't like it that much, but then it became better. Season 3 was very good, and then I was surprised. It's I guess that if you start bad and then you get all this review bombing, then it's hard to go up again.
Well, I think any of those big series, if you go and pick a big series and say, you know, there's that core people that this you know they've got. And this comes down, I think, that difference between a book and a movie. Like you've got, we've all read those series, and you've got something in your head of what that book is, and then this movie. Yeah. That's not it. That's not what I imagined. So therefore, I hate it. And everybody then, I was like, just take it as a retelling of the story or something, and then maybe and just chill the fuck out.
Give it a chance.
Like, you know,
give it a chance. I try, Charlie. I try that. There's a thing that
it won't always be the case. Sometimes they just get it wrong and don't make it well. I mean, that's certainly plenty of examples of that.
This is gospel for me.
Yeah.
And so when the movie came out and it had the dragon floundering around in his own house, flopping around, couldn't stop the dwarves scampering everywhere. And then there was so much horse shit. I've never been so mad in a theater in my life. I was so pissed off. Legolas bouncing on barrels and defying gravity the whole time.
Yeah.
No. I do try. I try to keep an open mind, and discrepancies. Rings of Power didn't bother me.
Yeah.
But this is gospel.
Right.
Don't fuck with my
But I think but that's also right. Like, it just comes out. Yeah, sometimes they also just get it wrong. Like, you know, it's just not a good show.
Now, people loved The Hobbit, the movies. Yeah. My buddy could not understand. To this day, he doesn't know why I'm so bent out of shape about it. And he never will. He's never read the book.
The Hobbit movies are atrocious. Like, Hobbit is one of my favorite books of all time.
Yeah, come on. Let's say more controversial things. This episode will go viral.
And speaking of, I loved the movie Aragon more than I liked the books. I'm just kidding. Totally kidding.
Has anybody seen the movie of The Dark Tower? Stephen King.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Was that with Idris Elba?
Yeah.
And they made a whole film about like one tiny part of an amazing series of books.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But I think also that would have been better as a like a series, like rather than a movie, because it's too much to fit into a movie or like, you know, and they flipping between worlds and
it develops. Yeah.
Like a longer series or something like that would work better than just that's. Yeah, but then Stephen King there's not a good track record at translating King's work into film or TV.
No.
Largely. I don't know if it's untransferable or the ideas are too big to, apart from the first bit.
When they first announced they were making a Lord of the Rings, I was like, you can't do it. It's not really going to be possible.
You'll get it
wrong, but you will get it wrong. And they smashed it, didn't they? Let's face it.
They did, and they changed details. So it shouldn't be Éomer with Gandalf at the turn of the tide. That's Erkenbrand. Yeah, not Éomer. Whatever. Yeah, it's supposed to be Erken, but and they pulled out Bombadil. I was one of the very few that was sad that they pulled Bombadil from the films, but I got over it and I understand it, and I understand a lot of the scouring of the Shire. They pulled that, which I get it. I get that too, you know.
But it just felt like
I was more forgiving.
Even though this stuff was having to happen, it was being done by somebody that cared.
Yeah,
loved it. All of them loved it.
I felt like Scouring the Shire could have been its own separate film. Like it's a big enough section.
It could have.
Like if they split The Hobbit into 3 films, you can do like Saruman fucking shit up in the Shire.
and that should be the
but
title.
You have to take. Then Saruman fucking shit up in the Shire.
That's the elevator pitch. Come on.
Yeah.
but true. But then you wouldn't be, the Wormtongue wouldn't be able to stab him on top of the thing, and he falls off and hits that fun little water mill. Goes under.
I feel we got sidetracked. I think David, you ranting about The Hobbit.
No,
triggered everyone.
That doesn't sound like
I blame these coffee beans.
So many coffee beans.
I did want to ask a question, Greg, just to bring it back to you and your writing.
Yeah, sure.
Because I mean, you've already put out 4 titles in what's it been, 3-4 years? It hasn't been long.
Actually, it's 2. 2 and
because I think first book was 23, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What are some of the sort of main bits of advice you can give to anyone else who's thinking of starting their own like pentology and the rest of it?
Advice, I would say, first of all, for first book, if you have written something else, even a standalone, you get some experience from that. If it's just your first book, I would say take all the time of the world. Investigate what you want and don't rush it, because if it's something new, it takes time to learn how to do it, expand your story. And then I would say just write what you like, because I hear many times from authors that, something like a specific theme or something has hype right now. And many people try to write about that. Yeah. But if you don't like it, if it's not you, that will not fly well. And maybe until the moment you will publish that, something else will be on hype or something. So just write what you like. And if it goes well, it goes well. I mean, nobody writes to become rich or something. It's or to, you do it because you like it. And if the stars are aligned and it goes really well, it just happens. Funnily enough, once I was in Greece where the market is extremely small, and one author was telling me I want to translate my book, because it's actually that this is rare in Greece. There are not many authors who translate their books, so I didn't have anybody to ask about that. So anyway, and he was like, "Yeah, I want to translate my story because I want to make a movie." I was like, okay, good luck. I hope it happens. If you start with this ambition, maybe you will be disappointed soon, because that's very hard. But yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's ambitious plans.
Yeah.
Hey, it's not bad to be ambitious, but if if you think that if I don't make it a movie, I failed.
Yeah, exactly.
That's tough.
Yeah.
Unless you're able to do it all by yourself, unless you can somehow pull it off solo, then.
Yeah. If you have 50 million around to produce to yourself, it's.
Right. Just, small business loan of $50 million. Yeah. Greg, would your books better translate to a show or to a series of movies?
I would say a series, not like a movie.
Okay.
So because I think they're big enough, and if it was like a movie, you would have to cut stuff and many characters.
Cut so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who would you want? Who's your dream producer? Let's just say between something like Apple, Netflix, Amazon, HBO, or whomever. Who would you trust to turn your books?
I think this is it's not easy to answer, because even if you choose one, maybe based on the director you will have and the actors and stuff, things might change. Even if
it's true,
they have bad history or good history or whatever. But I think I would go with HBO. They have many great shows, and as a second option, I think Netflix. From Apple, I haven't seen something. So I don't have an opinion, because I don't even have Apple TV. It's not that.
I don't either. I've heard of some shows.
Yeah, and about Amazon, I think they spend way too much money on stuff, and to have the best, effects and stuff, and less in the story. So I would say it would be better if they invest more in good writers and everything, and less to have this perfect dragon with all the details and So it's I think that the first season, for example, for Game of Thrones, it wasn't that expensive, and the actors were not famous and stuff, and it was so good. Yeah. So it's not that you need always
great actors.
Yeah, great actors. So
I think if you're a UK character actor and you weren't in Game of Thrones, something was wrong, because they needed quite a big supply. Get some people. I know that.
Yeah.
What about you? For the same question, who would you trust most?
I'd say HBO. I'd say HBO in a series.
Yeah, I would say
HBO should be in it. I don't know.
And Netflix as a second choice, because I think in general they have a lot of experience, because they produce so many shows, so they have experience. And it's actually the first platform who started with the big series and everything. So
DB.
Yeah, DB. I was ready to ask the same.
I think the same. I think Netflix is consistent. I think Amazon have done some really good shows, but they've done a lot of trash in between as well.
Or they get a good show and then go, no.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, Netflix
doesn't hit the right algorithm, and it's like, no, we're not doing it.
Yeah, and it would have to be a series, I think. I mean, you can explore a lot in a series, can't you? You take your viewers on a journey, and you do in a film, but it's a bit more A to B, whereas a series you can wander a little bit.
Agreed.
We just need to pitch the rights to the Beardsmen RPG to Amazon, HBO.
Yeah. Oh, look, I think
whoever
it's only
adapts Dungeon Crawler, Carl.
Oh, that's surely got to be the next one. Like he's gone hybrid now.
That's true. Downgraded his covers. I'm kidding. Look, I was.
All right. Well, that's one guest we're not getting on. But
I bet he knows. I'm kidding. I like both covers. I like both.
There's a butt in there somewhere.
No, I do like both covers. Greg, I was looking through my notes that I have, my little temporary document for more questions for you, and I observed that you and I were both born in Athens.
Oh, really?
The Athens that I was born in was kind of on the other side of the world than the Athens that you were born in.
Okay. Yeah, once I was in US and somebody asked me, where are you from? And I say Athens. It was like, yeah, I know it's in some state. I was like, no, in Greece.
Your accent did not tip them off for some reason.
I don't know why. I think you can understand from my accent that I'm not a native speaker, so I don't know.
Yeah, but there are. I mean, Athens. It's in Georgia, and it's where the University of Georgia is, which is, there's a diversity of people there. But to sound like you, I don't see a person being born in Athens, Georgia.
Yeah, makes sense. But yeah, I don't know why they thought that. Maybe he didn't have any idea about another Athens existing, so he just assumed.
It could be. We're not the most geographically minded over here. We're kind of, we got a big old landmass that occupies our time, and we're kind of content with it, I guess. Not to speak for everybody around here, but
right. It's like when it blew my mind to find there was another Sydney in Canada. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
What?
there is.
I know that too.
There's a Sydney in Canada. What they occasionally read news stories about people that book planes to the wrong place or something. But again, they're probably Americans.
I'm just getting over the Athens in Georgia. That's throwing me as well.
Yeah, I definitely knew about that.
It's right up the road.
Yeah,
it's a big party town too.
I have been to Georgia once. I've been to Atlanta for work.
Okay. Oh, right. You're into Intella data. There was a unique word on your website regarding its finance and data, right?
Yeah, it's telecommunication. That's just my first degree, but I work in finance now. So I do investment risk. So that's the day job and then writing. But yeah, so I was working in a company and the headquarters were in Atlanta. So I was there once for like a week. It was nice. So actually the city is like in a forest. So that was nice.
That is a redeeming feature. Our traffic management around Atlanta is ass, which I don't have to tell you that. But there's not enough public transportation. The roads, there's not enough. It's just fucking god awful. And if I can help it, I don't go. The only reason I'll go to Atlanta is because Joe Abercrombie is coming to Atlanta, and I'm gonna get his book and I'm gonna get him to sign it. And I'm gonna meet him. Otherwise, I steer clear of it whenever possible. I like my own woods.
Yeah, yes, US is so big that it's not easy to have good public transportation everywhere. So I think it's good in New York, right? Should be, yeah, but
yeah, it's too big. Well, it's same in Australia. Like you public in the cities, there's public transport, but in between, not much. It's too far.
Just got to ride a kangaroo.
Yeah, gotta get in there. You got an airplane, like it's the city to Perth. It's 3.5 hours time difference.
Good grief!
Wow, yeah, that's how big it is. So you can fit pretty much all. You can fit pretty much all of Europe into Australia.
That's crazy.
Did you say 3.5 hours time difference?
Yeah.
There's a half-hour time zone.
Yeah, there's a half-hour time zone in Adelaide. Yeah.
Really? Actually, I never
serious? No, there's not.
Yeah, there is.
Does that mean you could really efficiently listen to an audiobook if you got a bus in Australia?
Well, I think to flying to Perth takes like 5-6 hours or something. It's quite ridiculous how big it is. Like if you fly, I know from when I've flown to Europe before, if you fly to say, I don't know, for stops like Singapore, 4 hours of that's going over Australia. And then yeah. So
and it's a lot of nothing.
Yeah, I mean, right? Everything's around the coast, and then the inland. There's not obviously a lot of land there, a lot of features and creatures and things, but yeah, not a lot of people. Yeah.
Charlie, this is such a tangent, but it came to mind.
Unlike us,
my buddy Volker and I, we've got a soft goal in the year 2035 to go to New Zealand and to hike. There's some route that the hobbits take that people do sometimes, and you hike, and then you can either camp or you can stay at like a place.
Yeah.
But you hike essentially the whole, like 1,000 miles or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know the details of it, but in 2035 we're going to do it. So mark it on your calendar.
10 years. Okay. I'll make
10
sure.
years from now, we're going to be in shape. We'll have the dollars. We'll research it. Kids will not be,
Well, that'll be fine. 10 years time, hopefully my kids have moved out by then. So
most of mine should be,
at least self-sufficient.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I'll put a placeholder in the diary now. So
yeah, do that. Sorry,
2025 is
derailed. Sorry.
so specific.
Yeah.
10 years is what I figured. I was like, I don't know.
I cannot even plan like 3 months ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, this is such a loose idea. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Oh, it's good to have a goal.
I mean, I might even have my book
it's a goal.
by then. That's how long that is.
I might have book 2 out by then, God willing.
Yeah, that's you're not allowed to go unless you've done book 2, David. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Noted.
Fair.
Deadline. That's a good deadline. I need deadlines. 10-year deadline.
Well,
I think
did I say book 2? I meant book 3. Sorry.
So I've got a juicy question for the authors in the room, which may be the last question. It's time's getting on.
Yep.
So starting with Greg, if you could collaborate with any author, live or dead, who would it be?
Oof.
Put him on the spot.
It's many. How many? I just need to say one.
Just one.
Just one. Okay. I
Well,
think would be
maybe you can have a team if you like.
it would be George Martin. But I think the book would come out in 10 years. So
Yeah.
Just in time for David's trek around New Zealand.
I'd listen to the audiobook while hiking.
Yeah, perfect.
because he was the first, like he I don't know, before him the fantasy was a little bit more, I would say, Disneyland fantasy. So we didn't have so many abrupt events, and he opened the doors for that, which I love. Of course, there were other authors who weren't grimdark and stuff, but he was the main one that, put this thing in front of many people.
Yeah.
So that's why I really respect that. And I don't care about the ending. I mean, making a show that big. So he wrote something that everybody was talking about it for years. It's huge, even if you don't like the ending.
Well, maybe you could collaborate on the ending of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So David is
tough
to answer the question.
Yeah, you can't avoid the question by not looking at the camera, David.
He's desperately searching.
I'm looking at looking at my limited books that I have over here. I'm trying to think of my weaknesses, but if I knew them, I'd probably try to improve them. So like what could somebody bring to the table? I would say, I don't want to say something boring like Abercrombie. He's not boring, but
that sounds what we were expecting.
Yeah.
I might say, and this is a weird answer maybe, but Josiah Bancroft, because he's got the way that he phrases things and the similes and metaphors and figures of speech. Senlin Ascends is book 1 of his, and he's got a 4, whatever that's got, quadrology, whatever. Double duology.
But we've never read it.
Double duology, you can call it.
Oh, it's not for everybody. Some people find it whimsical and like a parable and just goofy and silly. I thought it was a absolute lesson in avoiding cliches.
Right.
As far as figures of speech and metaphors and stuff. It's like you can tell he's a poet. Like he's also a poet, but it's not so dense and thick that it just can't get around to its point. It makes points really well. Feels like every sentence is kind of doing double duty as far as painting a picture and also revealing the point of view character a little bit, which I guess could also sort of be the same for Name of the Wind. He has that crazy good, like that lyrical, very poetic kind of writing. But I kind of prefer Senlin Ascends. I don't know. It's tighter. It's tighter than Name of the Wind. Name of the Wind wastes time. Rothfuss, you waste time. Yeah. That ain't surprising anybody. Final answer, Josiah Bancroft. Oddly enough.
Nice.
It's like how you slipped in the whole roll first you waste time thing there.
I didn't plan on. That's that ambiguity. That was the dual purposes that I was talking about.
I think we're banning David from eating the chocolate coffee beans when we do a live episode.
Bro, no filter. The filter
Just the
suffers when I get
comes out.
geeked up.
I was going to say he should have more, but you know.
Either way, yeah.
He's gonna have 3 more, but like, hey Sanderson, fuck you.
And another thing.
Hey, look, I think it's going to up our viewership, so I think we should encourage David to have his
conflict and controversy. You're right.
Yeah, David's hot takes. We'll have that new section at the end of the.
Is that actually the working title for V&V2? Conflict and controversy. No, that would fit.
I think, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And you, DB, who would you choose?
I think, because I kind of went round the rounds thinking about this of the fantasy authors, and again Abercrombie would stand out. But actually, if I went a bit deeper, what I'd really love to see is a book built of my imagination blended with H.P. Lovecraft's imagination.
Ooh,
so that's where I go.
Awesome.
Just for that, like, kind of, I mean, I can create a world and a plot, but I can't make people feel mentally unwell to read it, which is incredible. Yeah, just kind of that something that sinks into your soul and kind of leaves a dark stain while you're reading it.
I feel like it helps that he was mentally unwell, probably.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
To some extent.
Yeah.
Because David, I was going to suggest you could go with Zamil Akhtar, the Gunmetal Gods, because that's got some Lovecraft in it.
Oh, yeah.
And he's with us. So
first book.
He's still here, yeah.
It was dark.
Yeah.
Actually, our buddy AC Cross did a really good Lovecraftian book, the Boudica Letters.
Yeah. I've not read it.
That was really creepy.
Yeah, excellent.
Tom?
That's a good choice. I think I'd lock myself in a writing bunker with a few dead authors. Jules Verne.
Yeah.
Because I write sky ships, but also I play around with like this deeper sky concept, like this maelstrom that's at the bottom of the world instead of a sea.
Yeah.
No one knows is it gas, is it liquid, what the fuck is it? Mm-hmm. I reckon me and Jules come up with some cool ways to go inside and find out what's in there. RLS as well, Robert Louis Stevenson. So one of my heaviest influences writing my book was Treasure Island.
Yeah.
So I think getting those two in a room together, just brainstorming a Sky Pirate follow up to the Corsair. Yeah, that'd be a fun project.
Just want some good ventilation because they might smell a bit.
Yeah. I think Jules kind of covered that in 20,000 Leagues, though.
Yeah.
I think he'd be all right.
Can I tell you, the title of that book used to confuse the shit out of me because I was like, I would look up a definition of a league, roughly 3 miles back wherever my source was, and I'm like 60,000 miles deep. How? But on the other hand, it might be more like we have gone 20,000 leagues under the sea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That never occurred to me in my childhood. Yeah, I was like, damn, it's deep. Gosh, that's too deep.
He also had a very impressive beard, did Jules Verne.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, Charlie, are you going to finish us off with the live or dead author who could be your mentor?
I don't think I'm well enough talented and advanced in your goodness. Who would? No, that's stumped me a little bit, to be honest. Apart from present company, obviously, but because I think
best answer right there.
Yeah. The Beardsmen Chronicles. There we go. That could be. Yes. No, I don't think I'm qualified yet. My journey has not yet properly begun to be able to do that. So one day, but yeah.
So you're picking up.
That's fair.
We're happy with that.
Yeah, I'm just gonna pick you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
On the basis I'll need help from live authors rather than dead ones.
We're like the undead writing faction.
Yeah.
Like you said, you got all these sort of indie authors now, secret scribes, break-ins. One just like the undead writing society.
Very cool.
Right,
Pull from the author of Revelations if we chose to. Get into on some of that crazy shit.
Yeah, the original OG.
We should probably close out the episode with just going back to Greg.
Not getting earlier, is it?
DB. I really do want to hang out with all these authors live and dead and just write.
Yeah.
I would feel so insignificant in there, kicking it with them. We're not worthy. Type.
But yeah, just to close this out, Greg, tell us where we can find out more about you and your books and where our readers should start off with your series.
I'll hold up the one I've got. Just
that's the second. Oh my god! I have to just say,
Greg sent me when I won that. I was very very chuffed to receive that.
So I've got book 3, and I meant to do a promo picture when you release the book, and take a picture of it and put it on the socials. Fucking second book.
Yeah, I did notice that. Yeah.
I was going to say you did do that, didn't you?
I did. Yes.
Yeah. Just
I such a pillock. I saw the dragon. I was like, oh yes, there we go.
That's amazing. Let's post this one.
To make it worse, I did a book selfie with the third book like a week previously. It's like, I do apologize.
Yeah, no worries at all. So yeah, in general, if somebody wants to find a lot of information about the series, my website is the best place because, as we discussed, I have a glossary. I have all the art from the books.
Because great maps in there as well. Yeah,
and they are interactive as well, so you can see some stuff about the cities, about the characters. So there is a lot of stuff there. Yeah, you can see about buying the books. There are many places, so you can get them from Amazon and all these big retailers like Barnes and Noble, Waterstones, and stuff. And for signed copies, Broken Binding. That's the one. There is no other one for signed copies. And because many people ask me about the special editions with the sprayed edges like this one and stuff. The thing is, those, I'm not selling those. It's just for giveaway. So you cannot buy them, unfortunately. But for...
Greg hopes that people in Australia don't win it again because it costs him a fortune in postage. So,
so yeah, that's it more or less.
Awesome,
yeah, fantastic.
Well, Greg, thanks so much for joining us. Pleasure having you.
Thank you for having me.
And yeah, seriously, guys, thank you for watching and subscribing. Keep on subscribing. We're nearly at 50 subs. That'd be amazing if we get there.
Yeah.
But no, Greg's series is really good. It's well worth checking out. It starts strongly. It keeps going from there. And yeah, there's 4 books out now. So get on it, people. Get on it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Greg.
Cool. Thank you, everyone.
Farewell.
Roll the tunes.
The 4 Beardsmen of the Bookpocalypse.